Yo, what is going on, Comfy Gang? It's your boy, Comfy NEET. It's morning now, so I'm gonna have to keep it down again. But basically, in this video, I wanted to talk about an observation that I made about myself fairly recently. I'd say maybe in the past 2 to 3 months, but I think it's something that I've sort of noticed for a long time and have felt about myself, throughout my life pretty much. But I feel like it's been pretty pronounced as of late. And basically, it's the fact that I feel like an alien. I feel like an extraterrestrial. I feel like a fucking imposter, and I'm sus. Fucking retarded. But anyways, what I mean by this is that whenever I go outside, that's when I feel like an alien. When I'm indoors, I actually feel perfectly normal. In fact, maybe I even feel a little bit content. But whenever I go outside, I just feel like an alien, an imposter. I feel like when I'm walking around outside, especially when there's people around, I feel like I'm that imposter that's supposed to keep my identity hidden, and that if anyone were to talk to me or were to interact with me or to find out that I'm not doing the tasks that everyone else is doing on the ship that is society, then they'll quickly find out that I'm an imposter, and I'm out to, obviously I'm not going to do what the imposter does in Among Us, but I feel like they would find out, that maybe I'm a little bit different, and that, perhaps that I don't belong there, that I'm not human. Like, obviously I'm being hyperbolic with my language. I don't actually think that I'm not human, but, well, maybe, but I think it's just more the fact that, some people might say that I'm overthinking things, or that, there's nothing wrong with this. And I do agree that there's nothing wrong with being different, I guess. Inherently nothing wrong. But I think the problem is that, society itself and people in general will tend to, treat people who are different, who sort of stand out, pretty poorly. They basically like to, what's it called, hammer the nail that sticks out too much. And this can be for a lot of things, but I think even in sort of normal social interactions, or just going about your day and minding your own business, I feel like if you don't if you're perfectly normal, if you're perfectly harmless, if you're perfectly, if you just want to buy something from the store, and or just ask someone for directions, and then you come across a certain way, then people just automatically will treat you like shit, basically, or they'll act all like got disgusted or weirded out. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of shitty. Like, I don't feel like being different should warrant that sort of treatment, but alas, that's just the way things are. And I guess maybe like don't hate the game, not the player. Like, maybe I shouldn't. I don't hate people for it, but it's just an observation that I made. But anyways, as far as like how I feel like an alien, I think it goes past social interactions. But as far as social interaction goes, it's just things like whether I'm making eye contact or not, because I think my default instinct is to look away from people. And I just find it really hard to make eye contact with people. But I've talked about that before. But another thing is like how much eye contact. Like, when I do try to make eye contact, the reason I find it so difficult is because, I don't know how much of it to make before I start to come off as creepy, or, how much I should look away, or, how many times I should look away, and how long of an interval should there be between the times that I look away and the rest of the time that I'm making eye contact. There's things like intonation. Is my intonation appropriate for the situation that I'm in? If I'm trying to express concern, if I'm trying to, make a joke, if I'm trying to, I'm gonna change sitting positions because this is aids for my back. But actually I'm gonna move to the other side because it's away from the door. For example, like if I'm like trying to express myself a certain way, like I'm trying to get like a certain, emotion across, like how high should I raise my voice? Should I like talk like this, or should I talk like this, or should I, like, all this shit like that, like, I just don't get, like, it doesn't come naturally to me. And maybe it doesn't come naturally to everybody, but I really don't think that's the case. Like, I really feel like most normal people, so maybe either neurotypical people or people who just haven't been NEET for a long time, this stuff probably comes second nature to them. But for someone like me, it's something that I have to consciously monitor. And again, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that, but it's just, it kind of sucks being like treated like shit because you don't conform to the way people expect you to behave. And it's just, I guess, one of those things that I care about just purely from a survival standpoint. And obviously, I want people to treat me better, or at least treat me like everybody else, or maybe I'm just overthinking things. But yeah, another thing is eye contact, body posture. Like, for example, even just things like when I'm walking around, like, for example, at some point in the past few months, I was at a music store, and I don't remember when exactly, but I was at a music store, and there's the clerks walking around, and I don't know, like, where I'm supposed to stand, where I'm supposed to face. So I just kind of like don't know, like, I'm just trying to like face away from people, because maybe it's because I don't really want to interact with people and sort of expose myself for being an imposter, because it would just make me feel like really shitty. And also just the way people react kind of tilts me. But apart from that, there's also things like, like where I'm facing, or even just like how like rigid my stance is. Like when I'm outdoors, like where do you place your hands? Like, do you place them in your pocket? But I've heard that's a bad thing if you place your hands in your pocket. Is it you put your hands at the side of your body? Do you move your hands a lot, or do you not move your hands a lot? Do you cover your face with your hands, or do you, all these little things that I agree to some extent it's just me being socially anxious and overthinking things and just being really petty and about things that really shouldn't matter at the end of the day. Like, I guess in the long term I should just probably stop giving a shit about what other people think. But I guess, to be honest, it's sort of hard to override that instinct, especially when you're biologically I guess driven to do so, to care about what people think, and also conditioned to by society as well. And so place your hands, and what do you say during a conversation? Like, people talk to me, and I feel like my responses when I talk to people are really really short. Like, yeah, oh, true, yeah, oh, that's funny, yeah, right, yeah, true, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, all my responses are pretty much like one word answers, and that's because I feel like there's a sort of like buffer or lag time almost, and I feel like it sort of takes me a while to come up with a decent response that's thoughtful, because I feel like I'm kind of slow as far as like talking to people goes. And I feel like if it's, for example, on Discord or online, then I feel like I have a better time, because I can at least formulate something that's resembling a appropriate response. But when it's like, as far as like talking to people goes, like in real life, in person, it's hard, because I feel like if I were to just say the first thing that comes to the top of my mind, like people say that, like, just stop filtering, just say the first thing that comes to your mind. But if I do that, then I feel like a lot of the time when I have done that, it has been pretty like, I don't know, pretty like off the wall, pretty pretty unrelated to the topic, or kind of strange in a way. And it just puts people off, and then they start to ignore me, or like things like avoid making eye contact with me. And maybe it's also to do with the way I carry myself, but I think it also has to do with just the way I talk to people. And it's interesting because when I'm in front of a camera, people will tell me that when I make my videos, for example, that I come across as normal, that I come across as neurotypical. But to those people, I say that, you haven't really witnessed me, in vivo, is that the right term? Like in like the natural environment, you've only sort of witnessed like a lab study version of me, but you haven't actually witnessed, me like in like a sort of natural like environment, basically, where I'm supposed to like interact with people normally. Like in those situations, I sort of feel really out of place and basically have a really hard time communicating, like even things like facial expressions, the way I smile, and yeah, stuff like that. And another thing is that apart from like social interactions, it's not just limited to social interaction, because if it were so, then I would just be reiterating what I've been talking about in my other videos as far as like social anxiety and like being socially inept goes. But I think another thing is just like, being in your room for so long, it's almost like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but if you look at the light over there, it does its job okay. Like I can see indoors, that's pretty good, I guess. But as far as like going outside, like I think when you're cooped in your room for so long and you go outside, all of a sudden you quickly realize just how fucking bright the sun is. And it's honestly, it's pretty cancerous just how fucking bright the sun is. And I find myself, especially like if you guys have played Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 even, and you know how when you exit the vault and you go outside and you see the glare of the fucking sunlight, and then it slowly like it starts to dim, but just for that, I guess a good like maybe 10 to 15 minutes, like I find my eyes adjusting to the outdoors, and it's almost like my eyes have adapted to being indoors. So when I go outdoors, it's like that like really bright fucking flash of light, and then I almost find myself blinded by the sun, by the brilliance of the sun. And maybe it's a metaphor for something, like the fact that I'm being blinded by like normal shit, basically. Like who knows, like I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah, like it's just blinding, and it takes a while for my eyes to adjust. It's almost if I'm like, yeah, basically like ET, like how like if you were like an alien traveling in deep space and you were to exit your spaceship for the first time in a while, or even like an astronaut, for example, like you would be just blinded by the sun because it's so bright. And and because the earth will trap some of the sunlight, so it just, yeah, it's really feels almost unnatural, as if like I'm an alien adjusting to a foreign environment. And that it's like I'm like an entity that's not accustomed to this level of radiation from the sun, basically. I'm not adjusted to all the photons colliding with the inside of my cornea to that extent. And yeah, also another thing is just like even walking, like not even as far as like social interactions go, but just like walking, like when I'm at home, I feel fine walking, but when I'm outdoors, it almost feels like yeah, like I'm a fish out of water. Like I'm like, all of my attention is focused on just putting one foot in front of the other. It's like all these things that I was doing unconsciously when I'm indoors, like all of a sudden they become this really conscious effort. Like breathing, for example, or walking, placing one foot in front of the other. And yeah, and it feels like if I don't do this, then I might trip over, or like, my gait, like my GAIT, my gait might be like really weird, or like really like robotic, or like alien or something. And in fact, like even when I am walking properly, I almost feel like a robot. Like, fuck, sorry, my nose is congested. Like a robot. Like I'm just, yeah, like am I moving my arms the right way? Am I moving in a way that won't make me trip over, or might not make somebody who's around me fucking call police or something. I don't know, just again, I'm probably overthinking things, but yeah, the way I walk, and am I walking the right speed, and it just feels like really uncomfortable. And how else? And even just, I think in some ways I tend to maybe zone out a lot, because I guess when you're outside the flow of society, when you're out, when you're in your room for so long, all of a sudden things that people will take for granted, like fucking trees, grass, the buildings, architecture, in a way they kind of grab your attention a little more than they would a normal person. And because, well, you haven't seen these things for so long except in videos, and when you're outdoors, it's like suddenly you find yourself looking at things or paying attention to things that you really wouldn't be paying attention to otherwise. And that also applies to all the intricacies of socially interacting with people, from blending in with the crowd, so you can at least not be treated like shit by other people. And I can get why people are pissed off by that, but it kind of is a shitty thing, I guess. In a way, it's kind of unfortunate that people and society has to be this way. Also, what else? All the things that you take for granted. And I'm trying to think of other examples of this that make me feel oh shit, sorry about that. It's morning right now, so I'm pretty paranoid about being overheard, but I'm gonna start whispering now, because it's kind of cancer. I don't want my parents hear me talking about this shit. Otherwise, I don't know, it's probably not the best thing, but I think I'm probably gonna end the video now, but I feel like I pretty much got all I wanted to say across. And if you guys have your own examples of feeling like this, or you can relate, or have your own opinions, make sure to comment below and hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Anyway, this is Company signing out.